Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about some of the transfer portal intel that has been coming out over the last couple of days. Cormani McClain has committed to Florida as a walk-on, so a very, very interesting thing there. But let's get into a Hot Take Thursday, and let's talk about the running backs. There has been a ton of talk about running backs over the last couple of years in the NFL and in college football, and particularly in the NFL draft this last year. We kept hearing about how it wasn't the strongest RB class and how, Jonathan Brooks was the top running back taken. He wasn't taken until the second round and kind of the middle of the second round. So gives you an idea of what this running back class was looking like. Well, it left us a ton to look forward to in the running back class for this upcoming year. I broke in the players into a couple of different tiers, if you will, where I have the Doak Walker candidates, I have kind of backfield stars, and then kind of the best of the rest at the end. So want to break these down for you guys, and let's start with the Doak Walker candidates. And there is way more than you would think. There are so many guys that have the ability to make big-time plays this upcoming year and be insanely good. And it starts with those two Ohio State guys, Quinshon Judkins and TreVeyon Henderson. I've talked about them a lot. Frankly, I think TreVeyon Henderson is better than Quinshon Judkins, but that's beside the point. I think he might be the best running back in the country, but we can get to that a little bit later down the road. Jaden Ott's another guy that is going to be incredible for Cal, will play as big a part as any individual player will play in the ACC this upcoming year. Donovan Edwards over at Michigan is an obvious candidate, a guy that is coming off an incredible national championship, and especially with Blake Corum walking out the door. Another hot take for you, I think Donovan Edwards is better than Blake Corum, but especially with him walking out the door, you start to get more carries, start to be able to show that ability a little bit more, and he has tons of it to go around. And then you have Ollie Gordon, obviously the reigning Doak Walker Award winner from Oklahoma State. He's going to have a sweet offensive line to run behind, and it's going to make for some big-time holes for him, and he tends to do really, really good things if you give him some space to run. So I think he's going to have an incredible year. If he can repeat with that trophy, it'll be something to behold, that's for sure. And then you have Omarion Hampton, a guy from UNC that some UNC fans were a little bit nervous that he might walk out the door during that spring portal window. Definitely a name that was brought up a little bit, but he stayed put, and that is a huge thing for UNC. They're going to need that running game a ton this upcoming year. Max Johnson coming in from Texas A&M as their quarterback. It's going to be a run-heavy offense, that's for sure, and definitely Omarion Hampton is going to get as many carries as pretty much anyone on this list. So it'll be fascinating to see what he can do this upcoming year. Taj Brooks is a very interesting guy from Texas Tech. He is someone that I talked about a couple of days ago. I think he's going to be able to rival Ollie Gordon in the Big 12 this upcoming year. The dude has incredible change of pace. The dude is incredibly physical at the point of attack. So he's someone that can definitely be a big-time player for them. And if that offensive line can come together with a couple of big-time transfers, could become the best running back in the entire country. Then you have Ashton Jeanty up there at Boise State, the only Group of 5 guy on this whole list, honestly, and that's honestly probably not correct. There's a couple other guys that I probably should have given some love to. In fact, there's one guy I left off here that I'll actually get to in a little bit, but he's someone that is incredibly talented. You can make the argument that he is a top 3 or 4 running back in the entire country. I would be one of those that would make that argument, to be fair. So he's someone that I'm very fascinated to watch next to Malachi Nelson up there for the Broncos this upcoming year. Then you have Damian Martinez down at Miami. I think he's someone that he came over from Oregon State during the spring portal cycle, and I think when you look at what Miami has at the offensive line, this guy was already really good at Oregon State. I think he's only going to be better at Miami, and he's going to totally change this team and could end in a Doak Walker Award for him. But let's move on to this second tier, and I have them as the backfield stars this upcoming year. I do have Devin Neal in here, the Kansas running back, a remarkably talented kid that can do so many remarkable things on the football field. Will definitely be a huge help to Jalen Daniels in that offense. Has been there for quite some time, so he'll be more than fine. They have Highshaw right behind him, but Devin Neal will get the majority of the carries there. Trevor Etienne coming over from Florida to UGA was a massive pickup for them. He's someone that I think is going to get a lot of run as a kind of receiving back because of what Carson Beck brings to that offense, and also because of the other running backs you have. You have Roderick Robinson, you have Branson Robinson, who likely will come back from an injury sometime during fall camp. So you have those physical runners. You now have a guy that is a little bit more finesse and definitely can make those plays out on the outside for you. So really like Trevor Etienne. I think he's going to have a big time year. Jaden Blue is someone at Texas who you'll hear a lot of people talk about CJ Baxter. I think Jaden Blue is going to be their go-to guy this upcoming year. He's just incredible, is remarkably explosive. The second he hits a hole, he's pretty much halfway down the field at that point. He can do incredible things with the football in his hands, and I think especially with Jonathan Brooks walking out the door and Jaden Blue coming into that role even more, I think he's going to be a huge player for them. Then you have Nicholas Singleton, an incredible, incredible player that can absolutely be the linchpin for that offense, but he's right next to Katron Allen, who absolutely is one of these players as well. He can do incredible things, and this duo is as good as it gets in the country. I think we all have them right up there with Ohio State and with Michigan and some of these other programs that have big-time players. In fact, Khalil Mullings absolutely could be on one of these lists as well. So very, very talented guys there. You have Dylan Edwards, who came over from Colorado to Kansas State this offseason. This dude's just an outright athlete. He's a game changer. He can absolutely do anything on the football field you need him to do, and he's going to have to for Kansas State. He's definitely going to play a huge part in that offense, and I think if you put him in the right situations, he could find himself into that Doak Walker conversation just because of how dynamic he is. And then you have Montrell Johnson Jr., the guy that is kind of taking over for Trevor Etienne. He played a big part in the offense while Trevor Etienne was still there, but is definitely going to be a big-time player for them now that Etienne has moved on to UGA. I think having Montrell Johnson makes Florida feel a little bit better about Trevor Etienne moving on. A very talented kid that will definitely play as big of a part in their offense as anyone on that team. So will be fascinating to watch him. And then you have the best of the rest. And I started off with the two UCF guys, RJ Harvey and Penny Boone. RJ Harvey has been there for quite some time, a very, very talented kid that is a little bit more of a physical runner. Now, Penny Boone is a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more of a pass-catching guy. He was big time in the MAC, definitely had some interesting transfer stories with trying to go to Kentucky but not having the academics to go there, and some confusing things that have happened. But still a kid that can do incredible things on the football field, and a huge pickup for UCF late on in this process. Then you have Phil Maffa, an incredible player at Clemson that can definitely play some big-time ball with Will Shipley moving on, will be that big-time player for them. DJ Giddens at Kansas State is another guy. That duo up there at Kansas State is about as good as it gets as well. And then you have Rocket Sanders at Arkansas, incredible player that has only been getting better throughout his college career. Justice Haynes and Jamarian Miller is another incredible duo. And then you have CJ Baxter there at the end. Him with Jaden Blue is right up there as well. So it gives you an idea of just how good this group is. When I go through all this list, and the last name on it was the guy that was starting for Texas to start the year before he got a little bit dinged up and Jonathan Brooks came in and tore up everything. It gives you an idea of what this running back room and what this running back group for college football looks like. Now, there's other guys. There's the running back over at Rutgers that's a remarkable player that I am blanking on his name right now, but I promise I know that he is a very good player. Some other players that are just remarkable across the board that might just be a little bit younger. I think Branson Robinson is someone from UGA that could make his way into this list throughout the year. Roger Robinson, another one. So there's tons of really, really fantastic guys. And then, you know, Dylan Edwards, Trevor Etienne, Nicholas Singleton not being the top flight running backs in the country is insane, just given how good those guys are and how talented they are. Having, you know, a entire, you know, maybe 10 guys above those is just insane to me. So you have guys across the country as well, whether it's the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. There's running back talent all over the place. The SEC has tons of it. The Big 10 has tons of it. But there's plenty of ACC guys. You have Phil Maffa. You have a couple other guys that are going to play big-time roles for their teams. You have Jay Knott, who's one of the best in the entire country, coming in with Cal. So it's going to be incredible to watch all of this unfold. I think when you look across the country and you look at one position in particular that has not only guys that are, you know, have a ton of potential, but really proven guys, you look no further than running back. It's remarkable the number of guys that are out there, and I think there's going to be a lot of teams that lean on them very aggressively and have some pretty potent running attacks this upcoming year. So love this group. I think there's going to be a very intense conversation about the Doak Walker Award, and I can't imagine we come to the end of the year and a ton of fan bases are not super upset. So we'll break that down as it comes to us. I won't make my pick for Doak Walker Award right now, but I do have a name in mind that might not be the name that you're thinking. But that'll do it for this edition of the GSMC College Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It does make a huge difference. Also, we invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of the social pages for all the content and updates you could possibly need. We have incredible people doing work for across every single sport you could possibly think of. So definitely come on over to GSMC and we have you covered with anything you could possibly need. But thank you once again for listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.